Awesome. But let's start perhaps a bit. Who is Evelina? How would you describe yourself?
Yeah, so I'm 33 years old. I'm from Stockholm. I'm a mother of 2 kids. And I'm a colleague of yours.
Yes.
Working at Peltarian. I've been doing that for nearly 4 years now.
Yeah. Almost same time as me, I think.
Yeah, I think you were a bit before me.
Yeah.
Do you know your employer number at Peltarian? Like 10, 15?
No, it's more like 20-something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was early days.
It was. Back in 2017.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. But and if we were to go through, you have done so many cool stuff, and I know you're a bit humble, so you don't want to say about the nice things, but I can brag for you instead, perhaps. And
Oh, nice.
so you don't have to do it yourself. But you've been elected to one of the super talents by Veckans Affärer, etc. in 2019 and so forth. But still going back a bit from the beginning, and you obviously are a lawyer.
Yeah.
And perhaps you can just start a bit about, how that got started and what brought you into that field.
Yeah, so actually I've been thinking about that question, actually because I've been writing a book around why you should become a lawyer, which actually got me thinking about it. Why did I do that? And I went to law school straight after high school. And surely I had my reasons for it, but I think back then I couldn't put it into words. And actually I was considering a career as an engineer as well, and actually applied to KTH. But in the end I chose law, and I think it goes back to my background. So I'm from Stockholm, I'm from a suburb just south outside of Stockholm. And the area where I grew up was quite... it was a lot of trouble, not for me personally, but the area had a lot of problems.
Which area was that?
Haninge.
Yes.
And hopefully, I hope it's better now. But what I saw, and quite early in my age, was the injustice in society. So, just realizing that people don't have the same opportunities. So I wanted to do something about it, and I wanted tools and context to do that. So I think that brought me into the law field. And in the very beginning, I saw myself as a lawyer in court, defending people.
Watching American shows? Or
yeah,
actually,
of course. Of course.
Did you have a favorite American show?
I liked Elle McBeal. Perhaps that
classic.
tells something about my age, although I think I'm still young. But
you're the youngest one here, so yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Cool, nice. Gonna put that on my resume. But to this date, I haven't been in court defending people, I should say. You never know. I might do that in the future. But what actually came up to me was that you can do a lot of things with law. And not necessarily within criminal law. So, even working in business law could actually do or entail good stuff when it comes to society.
Cool. So that brought you into law school. And for people that don't know, you got a juridisk Kand, right? Or
yeah, exactly. At that time, it was called jurkand.
Yeah.
Now I think they say juristexamen, but it's basically the same thing. It's 4.5 years of studies. And I went to Stockholm University. And at that time, I was really into sports. I still am.
Really?
Yeah.
What kind of sports? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so football or soccer, depending on
where in the world.
Yeah, where in the world you are, and also floorball, like in the bandy. Yes, exactly. So I was not 100% considering a career as an athlete. I wish, but I was practicing a lot. So
on what level? What was your claim of fame in soccer and football?
I mean, I wish I could say like the highest league, but it wasn't. But like the second best.
Second best in damlaget.
Exactly.
In the seniors.
But I mean, I was doing it because it was fun.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to still be in Stockholm and study. But when I started working, I realized like I needed to see something else. And then I got the opportunity through my former employer to work in New York. So
was that Mannheimer? Or?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes? Okay.
Yeah. So Mannheimer Swartling, it's one of the biggest law firms in Scandinavia, and they have an office in New York. So I went there for a year.
Great adventure.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
And what was your field? What was your focus when you were in New York?
It was basically everything related to business. So everything from intellectual property to mergers and acquisitions, IT, tech. And I think that was the very beginning of my tech journey. And also being in New York, I mean, it's a great city. There's a lot of like startups.
You still think that? Or?
I mean, yeah, of course, they do have their problems, but I miss New York a lot. Yes.
New York has a pulse, the Big Apple, something like
yeah.
that.
I've been a lot in New York. I must say, I don't want to go back there.
Really?
No, not even as a tourist. No. I love to go to. I'm not sure I would
Canada
like.
is much nicer.
But
what was the? I mean, why is that?
It's horrible. It smells bad. You have garbage on the streets. It's a mess everywhere.
I think there is some sort of pulse or energy in that city, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yes.
I'm not sure I would like to live in that city, but to go there once in a while, I think it's...
Compared to other places in the world, I would put the US in general very low in my list, actually.
But then we can disagree on this one.
Exactly. We don't need to be in agreement in everything. Yeah, but I think that sparked something. So when I came back to Stockholm, I still worked at Mannheimer, but I was like looking outside the law field, and I was actually considering leaving it because I felt that it's not super fun being a lawyer. Sorry, all lawyers. But
can you just elaborate a bit more? What's the negative side, so to speak?
So, I mean, obviously it depends on your passion and interests. And I just think that I've come to realize that it's not my passion going through like laws and regulations. I like to see law as a enabler of things. And if you can use that tool in that sense, that's great. But sometimes you end up in it shouldn't be a blocker. Right. And also, if you are a lawyer within a company, for example, as I am now at Patreon, I mean, it's a support function. And you need to understand that lawyers are supporters. And
I'm so eager to jump to the question of regulations, pros and cons.
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
Let's wait with that for a second, I think.
But that can be great. And I think it's just, it's not you, it's me. Like, I've realized that perhaps I shouldn't be a lawyer.
But what sparked
oh my God, this is going to be like, I'm going to hand in my resignation tomorrow.
But what sparked your tech interest? Can you sort of backtrack? In New York, was it the scene? Was it the type of clients you were? Or where was the tech interest sparked, so to speak?
It was actually in a running group. So I'd like to see myself as like a sporty, social, super active person. But what's really fun, at least I think that, is that during the pandemic, now that you've been basically in lockdown, I came to appreciate the low pace activities as well. Perhaps it's like something with age or maturity.
You're just 33 years old. You can't speak about age.
She can't pull the age card. The age card. She can't pull that yet. Sorry. 5 more years.
No, but so going back to New York, I mean, I was everywhere. And at that time I was 26. I was single. I mean, I didn't have anything that held me back. So I was just like, if anyone was asking me to, hey, join this running club, I'm there. I was the first to show up. So, and that was actually the spark to the tech scene, because the running group was run by a guy who was, I think he has started like several startups. And he had founded a company which had this running app, which basically, I think Spotify later on had a similar thing. It related to the pace.
Yeah,
so,
of course. They had an adaptive.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Finding the music BPM that fits with the running pace.
Yeah, exactly. So we were running in Central Park with like speakers and the app.
Yeah.
And it was great. And it was like 20, 30 people. And I think I was the only one working with like a boring job. Sorry,
Keep
I'm
putting
just
down your time. It's weird.
Yeah, exactly. I shouldn't.
And you came back to Stockholm, and then what's the journey? How you and Peltorium found each other, so to speak?
Yeah, so I went back. I was doing a lot of mergers and acquisitions. I was helping a lot of like tech companies with fundraising, but being on the other side. And then I have a friend of mine, Mikael Moreira. I think he's the best tech lawyer in town.
The best tech lawyer in town?
Yeah, he should, or VC lawyer. He should definitely have its appreciation post. Yeah. So he's a friend of mine, and he knew about Peltorium. I think it was like fundraising wise, and said that they are looking for a lawyer. A first lawyer to build up the legal department. And he knew that I were trying to get out of the legal field, but he said that if you wanted, I mean, this is a really cool company. You should have a second opinion or a second thought about this. And then I met with Peder, I think, which is, at that time he was HR director at Peltorium. And shortly thereafter, I met with the two founders, Luca and Måns. And then I was just like, oh, this is so cool. And I really, really liked Luca and Måns. They are like genuinely nice people. And also, I thought it was interesting with AI. And to be honest, at that time...
Yeah, how much did you know about AI at that time?
Nothing, barely. But I mean... I went online, I read about it, and I realized that, I mean, this new technology will definitely bring much change in society. Yeah. It could be for good, it could be for bad, it could be both.
Regulation we need to catch up.
Yeah,
and you
so it's like,
see
exactly, super interesting, and being in that field that early, at least.
It is early.
Yeah. So I thought it was super exciting, and couldn't say no. So that was the start.
It is hard to say.
Regulatory lawyering combined with AI, it must be one of the key places to be.
Yeah, and I think it also came back to, why I in the first place went to law school, because I wanted to do something good, and I wanted to be able to have tools to change bad things in society and do it for the better. And then AI could be another tool for that.
Right. So, there are two ways to look at AI and law, I would say. One is basically using AI to improve law, right? Another is the law for AI, which is two different, completely different questions, right?
Yes,
yeah.
Two interesting questions to explore, actually.
Yeah.
Which one?
Be. Perhaps before that.
What's your take on it?
Oh, don't try to turn the tables on me.
I like this. Let's start interviewing. He tries to get out of the question, and
exactly.
I have too many opinions, but
we love it. We love opinions.
But before that, okay, so you didn't know that much about AI to start with.
No.
But if you were to compare, perhaps what you thought AI was at that time and what you think today.
Yeah, I think perhaps I'm a good example of what at least my opinion is of society today, because I think there's a lack of education. It sounds like super broad, but understanding around AI. Yeah, because at the moment, or sometimes I feel that we have insufficient information and that people don't really know what AI is and what it's not. And it goes back to education and awareness. So I think, this podcast is great, demystifying what AI is, and also talking about AI generally, taking it to a broader scene. And that's actually why I started my newsletter.
Right.
Yeah, same purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Same purpose.
So what newsletter is that?
So it's AI's Weekly. It's I'm part of Stockholm AI, which is a community here in Stockholm. I think actually it's one of the biggest communities in Europe, at least in the Nordics.
In terms of AI, you mean?
In terms of AI.
Yes.
Exactly. Sorry, I forgot that one. One bear in. But yeah, it's basically AI enthusiasts gathered together, and we have a lot of like activities, everything from reading groups to events.
It sounds like breeding group, but reading groups.
Reading groups, yes.
Good.
And events.
Meetups.
Meetups, yeah, everything. Of course, nowadays it's digitally.
Digital meetups.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I'm part of the board since May last year, and one of the reasons I got engaged with Stockholm AI is because, well, first of all, I think we need to improve the diversity in the AI field, and Stockholm AI, they do a lot of good things, and they have done things to improve diversity, but I wanted to be part and increase that. And then I thought about, okay, what can we do? Because I mean, in my book, action is the important part.
Speaks louder than words, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's so
words.
easy to have opinions about things. And I mean,
Yes.
I have opinions, and I've been one of those, like, just complain. But I think it's important to just ask yourself, like, okay, what can I do to improve this? And
We're trying all the time to find sound bites. Like Luca, the founder of Peltorian, said basically commit to deploy, which we are probably going to print a T-shirt with. Perhaps another one is something like
Action
that.
speaks louder than words.
yeah.
So I mean,
It must be someone who said that before.
We all the guests we've had now. This is a joke, but it's actually quite serious. Like trying to distill it down to a very concrete, simple principle or statement. It's a way to hammer things in. So commit to deploy is about go away from trying to do piloting, but really understand to take something to production. That's when you're really going to learn. Action speaks louder than words.
Yeah.
Is something about how we change and get ready for this.
Don't complain, just act, right? Or something like that.
Exactly. Well, yeah, we should have like billboards. Or
And
something.
we're almost at the Nike and Just Do It. So.
Yeah,
But I mean, to go back to it, I think it's, I mean, if you have a voice, and I'm not sure my voice is the loudest, but at least I think I have something to say. Then I think you have an obligation to use it. And that's what I want to do. I mean, my passion lies around diversity, women in tech, women in AI. And with this newsletter, what I want to achieve is twofold. First thing is demystifying AI as you do, and just show like use cases, what you can do with it, what it is, what it's not. And then I want to show role models and the whole spectra, because I think role models is one of the key things to achieve a balance when it comes to diversity.
Yeah. So what you mean with that is basically here, I'm female, I'm a lawyer, I'm in the AI field. This is a role model for one way of going.
Yeah, and
AI.
it's not just to, to put myself on the newsletter. I want to put others in there.
No, and because by doing like it's a little bit like very similar actually, that we want to demystify AI with this podcast. We think the best way to do that is by casting guests and exploring these guests as role models for different perspectives of what AI will do for us or how we can work in AI field and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I guess you are then having in your newsletter you will talk to different people or interview them as a way to frame.
Yeah.
This is Linda, and she's working with this, and she has this passion, and this is how she got into it. Look here, she did not go. She wasn't born an AI doctor, right? She started somewhere else, but she came this way. Yeah, this was her path.
That's the purpose, and a mix of like news, a mix of like interviews, including events. And I think it's super important to include the community. So what I'm trying to do is not only to curate this newsletter myself, but actually including more, because I mean, we all live in filter bubbles.
So, but I think let's promote AI Stockholm. What is AI Stockholm? Because I think it's a great community and we want people to join communities.
Yeah.
So what's the mission and purpose of AI Stockholm, and how did that start?
So it started a couple of years ago. I can't remember the exact year, but it's driven by enthusiasts, people that are interested in the AI field. And I think historically it's been a lot of like engineers, tech people.
Tech nerds.
Tech
like
nerds.
myself, yeah.
Tech nerds is an important part, but maybe not the whole part. But it's an important part.
But what we're moving towards now, and I mean, time will tell if this is a good path or not, is to include people beyond tech. Because I think that is super important when we're discussing like ethics, for example. Because we need different types of competences and skills. And tech people are super important. But it's also important with the other parts, economics, society, lawyers.
Yeah.
Cool.
And Goran is showing of the Stockholm.ai webpage.
Yeah, exactly.
So everybody can find more information on Stockholm.ai.
Yeah. And we are actually updating the website quite soon, because I don't think it's super updated yet.
But in short, it's a non-profit organization, right?
Yes.
That tries to basically promote and help people accelerate and understand AI in different ways.
Do you have any sponsorship, or how do you make it work?
Yes, we do have sponsors. If you're interested, you can email me afterwards.
Good.
Yeah, but it's a non-profit, and I mean, one of the partners is actually Peltarian. Yeah.
Or sponsors, yes.
Yeah.